Hi everyone, I wanted to share this video with you that was originally done by the YouTuber Amazing Grace. She's no longer got her channel up anymore, and I think it's a crime that this video is missing off the internet because it has a lot of really good information. It highlights the link that BitCoin has with BlockChain. Now you speak to most people and they probably heard about Bitcoin, they know it's an online currency. Ask them what blockchain is, they have no idea. And yet, as this video demonstrates, it is absolutely crucial. In fact, if you do a search for blockchain, you'll see they market themselves as the world's most popular Bitcoin wallet. So it's just software that helps you carry around coins, your currency. Of course, there's lots of competing wallets, no doubt. One of which is this company, Trezor. They've got lots of very pretty pictures, and they even sell a bit of software here. Weird little gadget that you can plug into your computer. So this is like a physical wallet, but they also do software. Can't think what they probably charge for one of these. The technical specs. You want to find out about these people because if you look at buying Bitcoin, you see here it was down to £6,611 for one Bitcoin. In fact, interesting, I'm sure this was just a coincidence, but when I did a search, can you believe its value was 6336? Slightly demonic in that number. But like I say, if you want to buy Bitcoin, if you want to try trading and investing in it, robot names, the actual robots they use to trade, minimum deposit $250. That would barely buy you a tenth of a Bitcoin. I more commonly refer to Bitcoin as BitBollocks or CoinCon. Like I said, let's see the people that you're entrusting your minimum $250 investment with. The founder is Stick and Slash. Right, okay, great. They're not even giving us our real names and they want us to give us $250. So let's see, surely they're going to give us some actual real people we can contact if we need to. Nope, they're giving us the dog. First name terms always. Can't click on any of these people to find out who they actually are. Could be anyone, could all be made up personalities. Yeah. When a person asks you to trust them with all your money and yet won't even give you their second name, or even in a lot of cases their first name, be suspicious, okay? That's generally my advice. So this is one of the competing wallets, like BlockChain presents itself just a Bitcoin wallet. Actually, the truth is, which we see from Amazing Grace's video, I'm sure you've seen games, Angry Birds for example, where you can buy coins with real money, of course. Hill climb racing, if you want to spend nearly £20 you can get 3,500 diamonds, and with those diamonds you can upgrade your car, etc. Okay, think of Bitcoin as this currency, whereas blockchain is the actual game it runs on. Without the game, the currency is worth nothing. Without the platform, the currency is of no value. But of course, talk to people and they've all heard of Bitcoin, none of them have heard of blockchain. Well, surely this is real currency. It isn't real currency, it's virtual currency. There's no actual physical value. You don't even have a coin to play with. If you want to play heads and tails, you don't even have that coin. I did do a search for what can you buy with Bitcoin. CoinDesk tells us, after an initial flurry of interest among merchants in accepting Bitcoin in their retail or online stores, interest has largely died down as increasing Bitcoin transfer fees and volatile price movements made it less attractive as a means of exchange. That doesn't mean that there are no outlets to spend your Bitcoin, however, far from it. It's just that Bitcoin volumes at these outlets has generally not met expectations, and by the time you read this, some may have discontinued that option. So all these retailers might have come out and said, yeah, we'll accept Bitcoin. Actually, now you've spent minimum $250 on a Bitcoin, we ain't accepting them anymore. Article demonstrates what a complete joke Bitcoin is. At the time of writing, however, you can still buy a wide range of goods and services with cryptocurrency. Among the advantages of doing so are ease of cross-border transaction and anonymity. Unless you want physical delivery, of course. So if you actually want to buy something that you physically receive, you've got to give them all your information. E-gifter, the recipient will then be able to spend the gift card at one of a wide range of outlets. You can pay for flights and hotels with Bitcoin. If your ambitions are loftier, you can pay for space travel with some of your vast holdings through Virgin Galactic. So Virgin Galactic accept Bitcoin for a seat on one of their space flights, which, despite being in development for decades now, no one's got anywhere near going into outer space, and never will they. You see, Microsoft accepts Bitcoins in the App Store, where you can download movies, games and app-based services. Now, Microsoft's App Store isn't particularly big. I think it'd be a lot more appealing if Google Play Store accepted it, or iTunes. And as you'll see, actually, Apple are one of the big investors in BlockChain, so it makes you wonder why they don't accept it. The video by Amazing Grace has a lot of really good information in it. I certainly recommend you watch it. We're provided for, okay? God will provide you with everything you need. You don't need to go running after the next get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, they've given us the national lottery, now they're trying to convince us to buy imaginary money. It's a joke, okay? Generally in life, if you're prepared to give, then you're likely to receive as well. I don't need money. I would like to thank Amazing Grace for allowing me to upload this video, and hit me with any comments or questions you have. Thank you.
So today's video is, as you can tell, covering Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, specifically with blockchain technology. And I'm going to tell you that the two are completely crucial to one another and not as they seem. So Bitcoin was produced a few years back, and while I'm not an expert in Bitcoin, I don't profess to be, what I do know is that Bitcoin was developed by what those behind Bitcoin will lead you to believe was developed alongside a system called blockchain, and that cryptocurrency cannot work without blockchain. This is their, I suppose, what they call their white paper. This kind of introduces cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and what it will mean and everything behind it. And they clearly mention here about how information is held within blocks. Blockchain technology, to kind of put it in general terms, is records of transactions or activities, and each transaction or activity is placed in a block, and then each of those blocks are connected with a hashtag or a hash function, and then they create a chain of blocks, and it can't be hacked into, it can't be changed, you can't go in and tamper with it. And it's also a public ledger, so it's open to people to go in and have a look, which actually is quite crucial. And they sell it to you that that's because it's an open platform, there's nothing to hide, you can't tamper with it anyway. But for me personally, I believe that it's a public ledger on purpose to enable anyone to use it. Now, a general member of the public wouldn't necessarily be bothered to even look at it, but businesses and companies, they can tap into that for whatever means they choose, because it's become public, it's not private, and there's no restrictions on the information. Now, blockchain can be used for many different reasons, and it's been rolled out now that Bitcoin has been using it, and in my opinion was a kind of test bed for blockchain. That Bitcoin has not been pushed out there in order for you or I to buy into a currency that does not have direct contact with a singular bank or a government, that is almost publicly owned, self-governing. I don't believe that's what it is. I believe Bitcoin was key to pushing blockchain because Bitcoin has financial value, and basically more people are likely to be interested in something like Bitcoin than if they were to roll blockchain out under something like one of these other uses. If they used, for instance, voting or something like that as a way of, like this, for instance, if they use if they use blockchain initially to push voting and legislation, then most people would just not have been that interested. So Bitcoin brought in a following, which then fed into Bitcoin by buying Bitcoin and using it, and you having transactions involved in it, which fed into the blockchain network, creating basically, in a nutshell, a database of transactions and information about everybody that used it. And because then it worked, and it was working well, the blockchain technology was working well. Like I say, it's nothing to do with whether Bitcoin itself, singularly, was any good. And of course, eventually it probably won't exist anymore because it will have fulfilled its purpose. They've also then trialed out other things that seem quite, harmless, in order for us to then keep using the blockchain technology and feeding into the system that is a database of our activities. And the reason that in itself is not good is because once that system was up and running, excuse me, am I scrolling? Once the blockchain technology was up and rolling and worked, other people were able to tap into it because it's a public domain, like SingularityNET, who are heavily involved in Sophia, for instance. And she is plugged into blockchain, and she learns from blockchain, and she learns about our behaviors, and other types of AI have been developed with blockchain technology in mind. So basically what I'm getting at is AI is being developed for 20, 30 years. And once it got to a point where it was ready to then be plugged into a system to learn, so they could then test whether they could learn a higher level of intelligence, then they needed a computer system that would allow them to learn from our behavior. Now, we have algorithms and so forth already, but it's not it's not easy to tap into them. Generally, you kind of have to have an algorithm for a specific thing, where blockchain kind of connects to everything. I mean, it's everything will run off of it eventually, including things like you can open a company and a business and you can have contracts that are all completely digital. And the minute someone signs a contract, that block, that transaction, that signature is held within a big computer system, never to be touched, never to be tampered with. You can't then deny you signed it. You can't then change the contract details. It's held on a database forever. So yeah, you can do all sorts of things with this. So Sophia and other AI can tap into that and learn from us. And that was the whole point of blockchain. So if you're buying into Bitcoin, basically you are feeding this system with information. And that is the only reason, like I say, Bitcoin was developed. It was in order to roll out blockchain and therefore then allow all these other systems to run off of it. SingularityNET, you should really look this up if anything like this interests you. They have lots of things going on, and they are all into AI and as many platforms as possible for AI to work off of. It's Handsome Robotics who developed Sophia. Go look them up too, very interesting. Have a cloud-based infrastructure, which is also something blockchain uses. Cloud storage, all to do with blockchain as well. And they make it quite clear that SingularityNet or SingularityNet is AI and blockchain together. So yeah, there is your reasoning behind Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrency. SingularityNet have what they call their white paper, again, rolling out details about what they plan for the company to be involved in. And they list blockchain integration quite clearly there as well. It's part of it all. And this is rolled out after Bitcoin, remember. You have companies set up that are dealing with blockchain on a vast level in different platforms for different ways, and openly tell you that their team are trained by companies such as Amazon, Google, Goldman Sachs, NASA, the BBC, banks, Apple. I mean, it kind of says it all really. Lots of money in these and lots of agendas, I should imagine. And of course, they'll pile their money into this, no doubt. I mean, you know, we think that Bitcoin was there to save us from people like Goldman Sachs, and actually they're heavily involved. And again, here another company would clearly say AI blockchain, because that is what blockchain has been developed for. And also to bring to your attention that things like Bitcoin, for instance, actually, I can find it. Yeah, Bitcoin is actually one of the companies that support SingularityNET. So while you're feeding data into Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin and making Bitcoin more popular and worth more money, the revenue they get from that then gets poured into a system that then uses blockchain to enable it to develop AI even further. So it's all part of the same systems. SingularityNET, the company, their whole agenda, they've got Sophia here on their front page of their website. They developed, okay, let's get that clear. They would have been the ones that developed blockchain, and then would have sat down and said, how can we release blockchain into the world? Get people to feed into blockchain so we can then test other systems out on it. that will then allow us to get even more people to feed into it, to then allow us to plug AI into it to learn from those people and become more intelligent. So I can only say, though I have generalized this information, I do on purpose generalize it because people really need to look at this themselves. This subject is huge, and I could literally make about 20 one-hour videos on it. So I've put a little bit of detail of everything on there. So if something jumps out at you and you find that particularly interesting, go ahead, just have a gander and research it for yourself, because the only way you'll really truly learn about this stuff is researching it yourself. I am just pointing out some interesting details for you. And the message of this video is obviously don't buy into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You are just feeding into a system that is there for AI. It is not a good thing to be dealing with or to be feeding into. So think twice when it comes to